Welcome to Job Tales, the show where I interview people from all over the world about their professions. Through my podcast, I wish to inspire you by giving an overview of the many job options for you out there. Today, I'm joined by an auction house managing director from Geneva. In this episode, you'll gain insight into how auction houses operate, the diverse roles within this industry, the process behind an auction, and the impact of the digital era on this fascinating world. Françoise, welcome to the show. Happy to have you. I haven't yet had the opportunity and the pleasure to interview anyone in the field of auctions. Can you, in a very short couple of sentences, introduce yourself and say what you do in the auction world?
Thank you, Laura. I'm very glad to be here with you today. So my name is Françoise Adam, and I'm the managing director of Christie's in Geneva auction house, also quite global auction house worldwide, and based in Switzerland. And I'm taking care of the Swiss market, or the French-speaking Swiss market at least.
Okay. Are we allowed to say who the auction house is?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
So it's Christie's,
Christie's.
who is a originally British auction house that started in 1766 in London at Pall Mall with a chap called James Christie who created that house. And so it's quite a long time. It's standing. It started with quite interesting auctions in London. I think James Christie was in charge of selling the collection of Russian royalty, etc. And in 1968, Christie's opened one of the first offices that was not in the UK. That was in Geneva, so it was quite early. And the following year took place the very first auction outside of the UK. And this happened because of tax reasons. Christie's had won the sale of the Aga Khan's jewelries of Nina Dyer jewels. She died and he wanted to sell them. These jewels happened to be in Paris because it's where she died, and to ship the jewelry to London was taxed, which made it quite unattractive to sell it there. And the British auction house had to find another solution. There was Hong Kong, which in 1969 was complicated and far away. And there was Geneva, where the newly opened office was. And Geneva was chosen. It took place here. It went very well. Since then, we have auctions in Geneva, jewelry auctions twice a year in May and November. We sell watches as well in Geneva. We have sold wine. We have sold collectibles such as silver, objects of virtue. I think we even sold furniture, but it's now in the 21st century, we're very much organized, if you can say so. And Geneva has only jewelry and watches left. Paris, London, Hong Kong, and New York are the main auction sites where all the other items are sold.
Incredible. It's fascinating because it's like diving back into the past, and when auctions, everything was on site, and it still is. I think it's one of the few, let's say, professions or activities that probably can bring us back to hundreds of years, as you were saying, 1700s. Can you tell us in a nutshell, what does an auction consist of? Like preparation during and after?
So basically, let's say, Laura, you inherited a nice painting that maybe you like, but not so much, from you and your brother inherited. Very often, the first step comes from 3Ds, we say. It's death, debt, and divorce. Why do you sell? So you just got this painting. You come over to me and ask me, Françoise, have a look. What do you think? We have lots of specialists worldwide. I will speak, let's say it's an older painting, to the old master specialist who tells me, oh, that's very nice, very nice, very nice. It's a Van Dyck or Van something. Great. Oh, the details are amazing. The colors are so fresh. We'd love to sell it. And it's worth, I don't know, I just say anything, 200 to 300,000 pounds. You
Okay.
said, "Ooh la 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 la, I have to speak to my brother." And you decide indeed to sell. So here in Geneva, we'll organize everything for you. We get you the contract. We do the shipping to London where the painting would be sold. Then Christie's London takes over, does marketing, pictures, writes an essay that will be published on the catalog that now mostly will be on our website. And we market it worldwide to all our clients. We know who likes those kind of paintings, so we email them, we send them pictures, and make sure they are in the auction on that day.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say the painting is in the upcoming auctions, maybe let's say December. December has nice old master painting auctions in London. So people who go to London will be able to see the painting in the flesh, look at
Mm-hmm.
it, ask questions, take pictures, walk around Christie's in King Street. That's the historic place where Christie's is still. Anyone can get in, it's public. So even sometimes it looks impressive, it is public. So no hesitation, you have to go. We get interest. People start talking and saying, "Oh, maybe I want to bid on this one." So they would register. And then we get to the day of the auction where the auctioneer is in the rostrum and will auction amongst your other paintings your work. And
Mm-hmm.
when it gets to your work, he will say, for example, it's lot number 10. Who is interested in Van Dyck flowers in a vase?
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the people in the room who will start bidding, handing the hands up,
Mm-hmm.
followed by maybe some telephone bidders and maybe some of our colleagues who are on the phone with other clients, or even you can bid live via the internet. And the price will go up, up and up. It's like a ping pong, between the different people until hopefully for you, you get to 500,000, much above the estimate that we had planned. And the auctioneer takes the hammer down on the rostrum and says sold. And then
Mm.
the painting is sold. We will then arrange for payment and you will get the money. It's a month approximately later in
Okay.
your bank account or the bank account you mentioned with your brother. And then you can buy the new painting and you come again and maybe you say, I don't want old master paintings, but I like contemporary. So you come more in June or in
Aha.
July.
Okay.
It's a bit seasonal and you come to look at new things and maybe you want to meet the artist and it's over and over from one object to the other. I think that the very interesting part is like when the object has been sold, usually you don't see it again. It goes to another person, another collector. It gets a new home. But sometimes the objects come back to us. And that's quite funny because then you have
That's
the story
interesting.
from before and you have the 10 or 20 or 30 years you were missing. You can fill the story.
Yes, and it's fascinating because that's also what happened to the Aga Khan's wife's jewelry.
Exactly. Yeah, we had the in the first sale from in Geneva in '69. We had an amazing emerald that the Aga Khan had commissioned for Nina Daya for his wife at that time, and that was sold. And it was again with Christie's in the latest November auctions we just hold here, and it
Hmm.
was sold again
It was
exactly the
sold.
same.
Oh,
Yeah, it was sold for
amazing.
6.2 million.
Oh my
And
goodness.
yeah, we tried to to take the same pictures but in modern of the setup, just a
Yeah.
little clin d'oeil.
Yeah.
Nowadays we don't have the jewelry presented in the auction room anymore. It's on the screen for security reason, obviously,
Yeah.
but we did for the emerald. We have the pictures with one of my colleagues standing with the emerald in front of the auctioneer, and we are not used to
Fantastic.
it anymore. So she said she was very stressed of
Oh yeah.
letting it fall down.
Oh yeah, yes, I imagine. Yes, let it fall 6 million down
Yeah.
like this,
Uh,
and but okay, so it is definitely an interesting job and some that when I was at university or after high school, I never thought. Nobody ever told me, "Hey, have you ever thought of working in auctions, in the world of auctions?" And it's something that you either step into or you knew before. So how was your experience? Stepping
so
into that.
I think I really fell into it by mistake, if I can say so. I'm Swiss. I grew up here in Lausanne, not with a family who was particularly into collecting artworks. culture, but like pretty much everyone. And I studied business, finance, so nothing to do with art. But then I thought like, I would like to get some art education. And after having worked in a Swiss bank, of course, like pretty much everyone here in the country, and then done some press distribution, I said, okay, let's go to London. Let's take an art course. I knew Christie's and our competitor both were offering classes. It lasted almost a year. It was 9 months, so a real academic year course that I took in London. It was fascinating, especially when you study things after your real study. So you do it for
Yeah.
yourself. You have no pressure anymore. You don't like the carpet section, but you learn less about the carpets and more about the paintings or more about the commodes. It's really great to do it afterwards, I think, and to be a bit more senior. So I enjoyed myself greatly. I had no intention whatsoever to stay in that business or to work for Christie's at that stage. When I came back to Switzerland, a friend called me up and said, listen, you're looking for a job now after 1 year when you left Switzerland. There might be one in Geneva. You should call up the person there. So I did that. I got the job within 2 hours, which was very unlike
Wow.
the other jobs I used to have where you had like assessment centers and many interviews. And I thought like,
Yes.
okay, let's just take it. And I update my CV afterwards. I stayed almost 8 years. I was in Geneva. I then moved to Paris, where I was part of this amazing sale that was the Yves Saint Laurent collection at the Grand Palais. This was absolutely stunning and incredible and such an experience. I then wanted to go back to Switzerland, left Christie's actually, and worked for a private collector for 10 years. And almost 4 years ago, I went back to Christie's. There was a new opening. The person who was managing the office here in Geneva was getting to retirement age, and thought that maybe I could be the person to take the job. And I accepted. So I'm very, very excited to be here for almost 4 years now. It was a kind of the dream job once I had the step in the auction business, of course. Geneva is
Yes.
a quite big office. We are 35, 40 people. We do have auctions. It's the fifth auction room for Christie's. It's jewelry and watches, and it's lots of collectors who are based in Switzerland who actually are selling objects in London, Paris, and New York. So you see a lot of stuff. You see a lot of fascinating people who love their object or inherited or want to collect. You meet my colleagues who are the specialists who come over to see some of these objects. So you learn from the client, you learn from your colleague. It's really exciting, and I like that. It's very diverse.
Yes, no, congratulations. I'm thinking when I came, because it was very nice for you to invite me to see actually the preview of the auction. So because I've never been to one, and as you said, like people think, and I'm one of them thinking, oh, it's not public, it's just private, and you have to be exclusively invited. But actually, you can just enter, and I was at the beautiful hotel, and then you go up and then see all these amazing displays. Plus, they were interns. So these young men, women that I saw, how do they do their first experience at the auction? What were they doing there?
So yeah, it's true. We when we have these auctions, being it's only twice a year, we need much more hand power. Actually, we need people,
Yeah.
and the young men and women who like the art, who like the luxury business, who like jewelry or watches, send us their CVs and help us during the auction period. They will be there presenting the objects to people like the public. So you, me, or your friends or potential buyers who come by and want to try something, would try a bracelet, see a stone, see a watch.
Yeah.
And at the same time, they prepare trays with different lots that the trade wants to see, because it's you, the private person, and the trade business who is coming to the exhibitions. So they are very important to make the auction a success. And it's true, they're quite young, they're very passionate as well, and they
Yeah.
work very well. I could probably split a bit between the people who come to the watches and those who come to jewelry. Watches is a very emerging business, and growing and growing, and quite male and quite young. And the young person who come, mostly male, I have to say, for watches,
Okay.
they know almost everything already. They know more than the specialists. They are
Ah,
passionate,
amazing.
and they all
Amazing.
dream of having the job there later. Jewelry would be the same, but maybe for some of them, it's the first step into the auction house, and it's not jewelry or luxury they really want to get in. If you're passionate about paintings, you might land there as well, because it's the only auctions we do have in Switzerland. And then try to get the real internship. They actually pay now to do that. We pay them, but maybe they want to stay longer afterwards for internships, or maybe get a job. So it's a good way of getting to know people and then getting the first contact.
You were mentioning before there's also an online bid you can make. Has, over the decades, especially let's say last 20 or 30 years, has the digital attendance increased over the physical presence?
Terribly, yes, a lot, a lot, a lot. And it's fascinating as well, and changing the business. Christie's had started the online business already before COVID. Yeah, we had some trials. You could follow the auctions online. You could start bidding online. This was the beginning. And then we had some sales we did online. So you didn't have the auctioneer in the room at a certain date selling the objects. It would go over a few days. But most people weren't so confident about it, weren't sure they really wanted to sell their items. It's not even buying, it's selling. You wanted to be in the big room, have the catalog and all the schmooze around. And then COVID came. And during COVID, basically, we couldn't handle any auctions. You couldn't put people in an auction room. Everything was very difficult. People couldn't travel anymore. Everybody was stuck. But nevertheless, if you're a collector or a trade, business needs to go on, and you had time at home to look at the paintings, to look at the objects, and select what you wanted. So it was really the I think the turn into the digital. And Christie's live sales, so those with the auctioneer happening at a certain date in a room, and the online sales are almost half now. Most very, very important objects will be sold in the auction room, so
I
60
see.
to 80 maybe, and the 300 others are in the online sale.
Wow.
And it's almost splits what before would have been a whole day of auctioneering, and it was very exhausting for everyone, including the buyers and the clients. And you would keep only the evening sale for the top lots, the crowns, the historical pieces like the emerald, in the auction room, and all the rest online. And it works really well. And nowadays in 2024 and 25 will be even more. We have no problem anymore getting objects to sell into the online sales. The clients are really keen on that. And it allowed a lot of new people to access, actually, to think like,
I was
should
gonna
I
say.
try? Can I access? Is it private? As you're saying, it can be impressive. Online, you just go and try
You're
it.
behind the screen and yeah,
Yeah,
you're protected.
exactly. And the Beeple sale was a big turn as well. When the NFTs were very high and very trendy during the COVID, we had this Beeple NFT selling, and it's a community. It's people probably that would never come into the auction room, but they thought about it. It went up to 69 million, and in a way that was very unlikely to what happens usually in the auction. Usually it's all really at the far end that everything happens. Everybody wants to be calm and quiet, not to show the interest. It's like playing poker, you know? And with the people, it started the day we said you can pay in Ether or in Bitcoin, it just exploded.
Wow.
And all those new clients are still there. They're still interested. I think the underbidder or one of the underbidders bought a Picasso in London afterwards. So he
Oh,
actually
amazing.
was interested in something else, but never had access or thought he didn't have
Mm.
access. So it opens a really wide panel of new people, and worldwide as well. Not
Also,
anymore only to those who were able to take the plane and come over to the auction like maybe 40 years ago. It's
yeah.
fascinating.
Yeah,
Mm.
it is, and also like the reason what I would like to ask you, like why are certain items sold in specific markets and not others? Like you were saying, Geneva is watches and jewelry. That's all you get. If you want anything else, carpets, paintings, and then you need to go to other markets. Why is that?
It's an interesting question. Probably the first reason is historical. Geneva about the jewelry, it's with the Aga Khan collection that it started and it stayed there. It became kind of a rendezvous. And lots of
Mm,
the trade players know the rendezvous and come, and their life or their business journey is organized accordingly. So if you would remove Geneva, they probably wouldn't go to Paris instead. You would just miss Geneva. That's it.
mm,
London was always the main hub, and you would expect London to be selling the carpets, the English silver, the silverware, the English furniture, most paintings. But then, do you really buy French furniture in London? Probably
mm,
less. So then you need to have if you have enough items to sell, you need to have an exceptional sale, as it's called in Paris, with the exceptional furniture and bureau plat and the French taste or the French style. So you
yeah.
need, it's an internal thing we do. We readjust
Mm.
according to the changes in taste as well, and where the market expects you to be.
That makes total sense, yeah, and it also makes it even more special because then you know that if you can make a trip, then you know that Geneva is for this, and then New York is for something else, and it's a bit outside of the time where everything now is available everywhere, and because of globalization. So it's nice. I find it's nice to keep it, the
It's true.
regional
It's true.
touch.
You're right. You still keep the very specific parts for the, yeah, for the different sale hubs.
If you had, something to advise for the young generation that would like to enter this line of work, be it an auctioneer or eventually more like a managerial position like yours, what would be the first steps to take?
I would get in the closest as possible. If you really want to do that, get close to the auction houses. Try to get the internship. It's a people business. So you need to know the people inside. It has changed a lot this last years. It's much more professional than it was always professional, but much more modern, if I can say,
Hmm.
professionally modern, and structured than before. But get close, get into the house, go and see the objects, go to auctions, understand what kind of different jobs there are in there, and maybe which one you want to do. You can be a cataloger. You can be, because you met some of them, Laura, when you came, and not
Yeah.
everyone is client oriented. So there are lots of background jobs. You
Mm.
be the one who writes the story of the jewelry, who does all the research, who goes to the library and who actually realizes it belonged to the princess so and so, and it was stolen. So that's very interesting. And if you don't go close to those people, you don't understand that exists. And maybe you are a people person. You need to have clients. Then you're probably better off being a specialist and having this outside contact or client advisory, being the one who will have a panel of clients who are more on the buying side and to need to be assisted because they buy in Hong Kong, in Paris, in New York, and it's easier to have one person who takes care of them and you can assist them. You could be fascinated by shipping and wanting
Hmm.
to be in the shipping department. We have a fantastic team of lawyers internally as well. And they come to the auctions. They were there in Geneva. They follow. They give advice. It's very interesting. We have a restitution department now, so you would be concentrating on everything about restitution.
Hmm.
You can be in marketing. There are lots of
It's a
different.
whole world. Yeah.
Exactly, it's a whole world, and I think for a young person, if you can approach this quite in the beginning and realize, That's what I like. And that could be a path. I could start as an administrator and then become a specialist and then head of sale to organize the whole sale, the content of the sale, kind of understand already where you want to go. Yeah, I think that's would be great.
Yeah, that's a very good good advice. Also, yeah, depending also on your preference, your where you're good at.
Exactly.
Yeah, sometimes when you're good at, it's not necessarily where you would like to be
Where you
active.
would like to be. Exactly. And you think, oh, I want to work at Christie's, but it's very broad. Myself, when I left, I thought, okay, I've done what I had to do. The other jobs are probably not for me. And except running the local office, where I know the people as well, I know the clients, it's my crowd, if you can say. So I don't think there's another job for me anymore. And it's when I left.
Yeah.
And the job appeared again 10 years later. But I probably wouldn't have gotten back otherwise. So it's understanding what opportunities are right for you. And it's hard when you're young, I think. But getting to know the people, talking to them, being the viewing assistant, as you were mentioning before, for these young people, you already understand some of the different jobs that Christie's or an auction house can offer.
Beautiful. Well, thank you, because I see that the time is already up, but it's so interesting.
So much more to say.
Yeah, I know. We should maybe do another,
Exactly. No, but everybody should come to when the auctions are up in Geneva. It's very public. It's easy on Google to find it, and November and May. And it's not only us; it's all the competitors who are there and who are around as well. And it's quite exciting time. So
yeah, it's
come and speak to us. Come and try the objects. It's fun.
Yes, I did try a couple of earrings. Oh my god, like diamond earrings.
Exactly. It's great.
I never had a $20,000 earring on my ears. It was beautiful. All right. Well, thank you very much, Françoise. It's been mostly informative and inspiring. I wish you all the best for your career.
Thank you so much, Laura. Thank you for letting me speak today. Bye-bye.
And that was Françoise Adam, Auction House Managing Director. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget you can catch more on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcast, or wherever you listen. I'm always on the lookout for inspiring guests, so if you have any ideas, drop me a line at jobtalespodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next week for another episode of Job Tales.